the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency has been tracking the deaths of detainees in their custody. Their data on their public list goes all the way back to 2003. But it turns out our senior investigative reporter, Ken Klippenstein, found out they've stopped tracking, at least publicly, they stopped tracking these deaths as of about 6 months after President Trump was inaugurated. So for today's edition of TYTI Daily, I wanted to talk to Ken about his new story, which you can read right now at tyt.com/investigates. Ken, thanks for joining me. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Good to talk to you again, Jonathan.
So congratulations on the story. Tell me a little bit about what piqued your interest about this and how you found it and why you thought it mattered.
Well, I was doing a follow-up story to the one we broke a couple of weeks ago that, found really shocking conditions within the ICE detention facilities, specifically the health services that were being provided to them. And while I was researching, this official page, I'm going to read the title now, that ICE maintains for deaths in its custody, list of deaths in ICE custody. What I noticed was that it seemed to include a comprehensive list going all the way back to 2003, which I'll remind viewers that was the establishment of ICE. It's not an old agency by any means. George W. Bush established it, shortly. This is a post 9/11 institution. It doesn't go back to World War II like this, the State Department or however many other federal agencies. So what was amazing to me was that it included all those deaths right back to its origin, but then it stopped in May of 2017, as you point out, just several years after Trump's inauguration. And I don't have to remind viewers about how unusual Trump's approach to immigration has been. So that seemed like a red flag to me.
And it's not like May of 2017 is when detainees stopped dying in ICE custody, correct?
Unfortunately, yes. There's been there's been several deaths in 2018 alone, and then in 2019 as well. So, another thing that was strange was, so in there's a section. I'm looking at the report now. There's a section in the list that says final cause of death, and for 3 out of the 5 that have taken place in the Trump administration, it just says pending. It doesn't even have an explanation, even though these deaths go back to, as we said before, May of 2017. You'd think they would have had time by now to figure out what happened, but they never updated it.
And there are some causes of death that are pending from even before Trump took office that are still listed as pending.
That's true. It's not very many, but there are still some others. But what was noteworthy about Trump's is that's a majority of the ones that are listed under his administration. They never bothered to include an explanation. Yeah, there's only 2 at all there's only 2 at all that happened under Trump that they include an explanation for how they died.
And do we think this means that ICE doesn't have this information, that they're not tracking these deaths internally, or is this just a matter of them not choosing to share this on their public listing and the public document?
I would be shocked if they don't know by now what happened. They have to conduct, reviews and things after something like that happens. So I imagine they do have it.
And what did they say when you asked them about this?
They just didn't reply. And I thought that was amazing because it's a, pretty simple question. And I'm surprised that no one had reported it thus far.
And just to give people a little reminder, the previous story that you were following up on, that regarded some internal ICE documents that you obtained showing that they themselves, ICE officials or personnel, were warning higher ups that some of the deaths that had occurred were preventable, and you actually got some reaction from members of Congress who were let's say, disturbed about some of these developments. I would imagine that ICE disclosure about deaths and the cause would also potentially fall under congressional oversight. Do I have that roughly right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So what do we think happens next with all of this?
They didn't respond. Hopefully when we publish a story, that's going to trigger some kind of explanation on their part. What was amazing to me was just the lack of any sort of rationale. It would be one thing if they were like, we're migrating this and we're going to, do it differently. There's no rationale whatsoever. Looking at the list now, it says data from 10/2003 to 6/2017, but it just doesn't say anything. So why is that too June of 2017? I mean, that seems like a natural question that someone would ask. It just doesn't include anything. So it just seemed like a concerning lack of transparency, I thought.
Well, thanks for your report, Ken. And as I mentioned, everyone can go check out Ken's story and our previous reporting and our upcoming reporting at tyt.com/investigates. And we do TYTI Daily every day here on both YouTube. We do it live on YouTube usually, except when Ken and I do our conversations. Tuesday through Friday, we do it live. So you can subscribe on YouTube. You can also find us, like us, and follow us on Facebook to catch all of these as well as our reporting. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.